It is 4:01, and we will call to order the Group Insurance Committee meeting on July 30th, 2025. We'll move to item 1.02, roll call. Rachel Drake, will you please take roll call?
First, Jeff Bozzo.
Present.
Rachel Drake is present. Kaylee Krentz.
Present.
Robert Munson.
Present.
Gwen Parthos.
Present.
Brenda Costello is not present. Mike Dixon is not present. Joseph Silviera.
Present.
Eric Diamond, not present. We do have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. That closes out section number 1 of the agenda and brings us to section number 2, with the first item being item 2.01, presentation and discussion of Washoe County School District Group Insurance Claims Experience Report as of June 2025. This item is for presentation and discussion only, and we have with us Nate Kerr from LP Insurance to go over this item today. Welcome, Nate.
Good afternoon. This wall is new. At least last time I had been here. Trying to keep Lloyd out, I assume. Good afternoon, everyone. Nate Kerr with LP Insurance here to go over the group health plan report for Washoe County School District through the month of June for 2025. Turning to Exhibit 1, our executive summary, you can see that employee count is up about 3.2% over the prior period, averaging 7,448 employees. Those employees who carry dependents, i.e. dependent units, is up about 3%, averaging 2,299. While the dependent units is up, the number of dependents is about half that, still up about 2% at 4,494 total dependent heads on average. Line 4, net paid claims, that is claims after stop loss and RX rebates. Year to date is currently averaging $6.3 million a year, which is down about 5.5% over the prior period. When we take that number and divide it by the enrollment to get a composite cost, obviously enrollment's up a little bit and costs are down a little, so the overall composite is currently at about 8.5% below the prior period, running at $850.31 a month per employee. Our fixed costs on line 7, that's our cost for administration, stop loss, TPA, network, etc., is down significantly, about 10.5%, averaging $346,000 a month. I think, as I've said before in some of these meetings, a lot of that was due to stop loss. If you recall, we made some pretty big adjustments that created quite a bit of savings on the fixed cost side. So most of that was due in the stop loss space. Adding in fixed and claims for a total all-in cost, currently through the month of June, the average monthly cost is $6.6 million, which is down about 6% over the prior period. Taking enrollment into account, line 8, that brings the overall net composite for total all-in cost to down about 8.8%, averaging $896 per employee per month. And then large claims on line 9. Obviously, we're halfway through the year, and we all know that the numbers tend to trend up, but so far doing very good. Only 2 claims have gone over. Keeping in mind a few things as well, right? Well, not quite doubled, but we took up the specific deductible significantly. So the amount of claims that are going to pierce that threshold now, hopefully, should be significantly lower. Here or there, doing well year to date. Exhibit 2. This is the graph. I think the notables here, I know rate discussions are coming up here in a minute, but in looking at the prior page and seeing some of the cost trends in the direction that they're heading, I think it's important to look at the windows in which we're discussing and talking about, not only from a reporting perspective, but also from a rate setting perspective, right? Because the most recent, call it 12 to 14 months, has been a pretty significant increase, upward trend.
Nate, on while we're looking at this graph, I mean, well, if we go back to the previous exhibit, it compared to last year, it looks favorable. But we had such an awful year last year. So when I guess I don't have a question here. I'm just making a point. It was really bad last year, and although it may look somewhat favorable in the year-over-year comparison, when we get to the chart in Exhibit 2, the gap between claims and revenue continues to grow. So,
Agreed, and really it was the last half, 2/3 of 24 was pretty rough.
yeah, and it looks like this, just the last couple of months, it's growing even more.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It somewhat leveled off from that trend that we were seeing
Right.
first of the year in January, but again, it's still going upward.
Thank you.
Exhibit 3. This is just a breakout of all-in plan costs. Notables here, stop-loss reimbursements. You can see we've had some pretty decent reimbursements that have come in under the current plan year. That's obviously from the prior experience, as we've just talked about our large claims currently, but nonetheless, some pretty significant stop-loss reimbursements, which is nice. We've had two of our 4 quarterly rebates for RX. Probably should see another one fairly soon here. All in, no other real notables on this exhibit. Turning now, I believe we skipped to large claims at this point. That's Exhibit 12. $300,000 is the threshold in which we start tracking claims or have designated claims as large claims. That is half of the specific deductible for stop loss. Currently, there are only 2 claims that have pierced that threshold. One at $796,000, and the other one at $365,000. Question?
Oh, sorry, Robert.
Robert Munson. My question is, when it says active and it says no, that means that claim is peaked pretty much probably. It's no longer an active claim, is that correct?
Active employee.
Oh, active employee, okay.
Active member. How's that? Active on the plan. Are you on the plan or are you not on the plan?
But if you're not on the plan, you wouldn't be on there.
No, you'd be on there. There's still claims potentially that would run out. It's just, that's a good indication for in the future.
Then it's not gonna continue.
Correct. I mean, I could, hypothetically, as an example, I could lose my coverage tomorrow and be off the plan, but then I let Cobra and I'm on the plan for 18 months and
Got it.
continue to run claims up.
And the same thing with the subscriber, obviously, that one's up there and it's going to have a stop loss, but it could go on, since it's, month after month, it could continue to grow.
It very well could. Good news, bad news there is at least we're into specific coverage now for that particular individual.
Thank you.
Exhibit 13. First of all, I'd like to call attention to an error I caught just before coming over here. The number for claimant number 1 actually is incorrect. It should be $196,322. This is obviously the amount over specific. So as we looked at the prior page, the total claim is $796,322. So $196,322 would be the amount that would be currently over spec that we would expect to see reimbursement for sometime down the road. The good news, I think, with this particular large claimant is that so far through the last 4 months, the numbers have remained, mainly the last 3 months, the numbers have remained fairly steady month over month, which is generally a good sign. It means the claim is somewhat leveled off. Doesn't mean it's done, but good news there. Questions?
Any other questions for Nate on this item? No? Okay, thank you. We'll close out item 2.01 and now move to item 2.02, presentation, discussion, and possible action to provide a recommendation to the Board of Trustees regarding changes to the Washoe County School District's health plan for the 2026 plan year to include a premium rate increase of up to 10%, and this item is for possible action. Oh, sorry, Nate, we'll need you up here for this one as well, yeah.
Not off the hook that easy.
So,
I was looking for my name on there. I didn't see it.
so on this item, Lloyd went over the sheets last time. Everyone has those, correct? Okay. So basically, it was the recommendations 10%, and then there's also plan design options that we can look at. I guess before we get into any discussion, does anyone have any specific questions on these sheets for Nate? Robert?
On the sheets or?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess it is.
Okay.
And my question is, the 10% recommendation that we're seeing here on this sheet, is that mainly based on how much we're short per month or over the course of the year? Or is that factoring in projections based on the economy and everything? I mean, obviously, it's a comprehensive projection, I get that. But, you know, how much are we actually short on an annual basis? Are we drawing from our reserve funds?
Well, as far as ending fund balance, that's for you guys to track and manage on your side. But as far as where the 10% come from, probably no surprise to this group, but we essentially look backwards, right, in the last 12 months to do our best to project forward what the next 12 months will look like. Trend is a big piece of that. For school district, we use your actual trend, your real trend. We don't use industry trend, which is very common for other organizations. And your trend levels have been very favorable. We did look at a little bit bigger window than we normally look at for trend. Typically, we might look at a 2-year window or a 3-year window. We looked at a 5-year window for you guys because the last few years have been really volatile. So we did our best to try and flatten that out across the board. But I don't know if that answers your question, but it is a combination of, yes, costs are up, trend is up, and we need more funding next year to cover the projected liability that we're seeing.
Robert, if I may answer your question on the fund balance.
Yeah.
So, we don't have a number as of June 30th because we're still posting transactions to the account. But our Q3, so as of March 31st, 2025, report, we had drawn down on fund balance by $10.5 million, from $31.5 million to $21 million. And I think a lot of that had to do with these, not only the significant amount of large claims that we had earlier in the year, but also how severe a few of those large claims were.
Excuse me, could you repeat what the balance was that you
Yes.
drew down?
Yes, Gwen. As of March 31st, 2025, we had drawn down on the net position by $10.5 million, from $31.5 million to $21 million. Robert?
My next question is probably for Mackenzie. As our fixed costs are down because of favorable contracts, but when do we renegotiate that contract with United? Is it like 3 years out or something like that? So, I mean, of course, they have provider contracts that they're constantly negotiating, so I know that isn't fixed. It's not like it's fixed for the next 3 years or whatever we've negotiated, but our overall costs with them, is that pretty fixed for a period of time?
With our TPA Anthem. So our current contract runs through the end of 2026, so December 31st, 2026. So we're in a 2-year contract right now, and then if we need to go out to bid, we would work with purchasing to go through that formal process.
Any other questions before we move into discussion? No? Do we have any public comment on this item? No? All right. So I guess with that, then we'll open it up to discussion on this item. Rachel?
So in following up what you were just pointing out with the fund balance, the last 2 years running, when we've looked at rates, we have deliberately gone with a lower rate than what was recommended by LP Insurance. And the first year we did it, it worked out in our favor. Last year, not so much, because we do have that $10 million drawdown on the account. And that's what the account is there for. And we knew it was really, really healthy. And it's still fairly healthy. And I am thinking that we need to get a lot closer to the projections this year than we have the last several years. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Rachel. Robert?
So I spent a lot of time, like I do every time, looking at the projected changes to the plan. And really, for the most part, I don't see that they make up much of a difference in any one of them. And even then, if you do a total combination of them, you're not only nickeling and diming our members to death, but you're still going to have a rate increase on top of it. So I just really would say that I wouldn't be comfortable making most of these changes. I mean, you could raise the deductible to $750 and you go, okay, well, you know, it's been $500 for a long time, but you're not even getting a full percentage out of that. And then, you know, when you look at any increases to copays, they don't, I mean, they're nothing really. So I think we cheapen the plan at that point to make changes in the plan structure based on this. I think it's more of a foundational, our premiums need to cover it. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with 10% because when you look at that, that's like $90 a month on a employee and a family, or employee and a spouse. And then when you start to look at a family, you're talking about $150 a month. And, you know, I'm not going to say teachers make a lot of money because we don't, but we're not going to be as hard hit as our retirees who are on a fixed income, or our support staff who, some of them, you know, are just barely getting by anyway. Some of these aides are making, what, $10, $11, $12 an hour. And that kind of increase is really significant. I know last year we talked about going higher. Part of it was an agenda item issue that caused us not to go maybe as high as we probably should have. But at the same time, I think 10% is a bit steep.
Kaylee?
Kaylee Krentz for the record. I would just like to add on and agree with the combination of both Robert and Rachel. I do agree that if we continue to not increase it, it's going to be even more, even though we have a positive trend right now. We all know at the end of the year it tends to kick up, you know, and so I think that there is a place for increasing it a certain percent. The 10%, I think, like Robert mentioned, as somebody who has several dependents on this plan, I know that would be way too much for even me, for example. I don't know, maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle. I think that there should be more time to look into underutilized things that we are offered within whatever benefits that we might be underutilizing, maybe trying to pull from different places. Because like Robert said, just these little tiny, 0.52% small changes aren't really going to do very much. And like he said, for lack of a better phrase, somewhat cheapen that plan. So I do see that there is a need for increasing, but I don't know if a 10% increase would be, especially with everything going on in the world at the moment, would be best for our members. And like Robert said, especially our lower paid members. But there does need to be an increase, in my opinion. But how are we going to increase it, I think, is the biggest issue. And I don't know if just these tiny little 0.05% increases, or 0.07, 0.28. I don't know if that's going to be the most, even one that's 0.01. I don't know if that's the most beneficial way to go down that road. So does anybody know if there's any other underutilized items that we can maybe pull from instead, or transfer over, etc.? I'm not quite sure what other options we would have.
Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like a standard proposal for plan changes that could have likely the best impact to a high premium rate increase.
Yeah, you're talking about the plan options?
Yeah.
Yeah, these plan options are probably very similar to what we've put in front of you in the past, this is obviously not all encompassing of benefits, but we try to focus in areas where we're going to get the most effect, right? I think the comments have all been spot on that you got to cut quite a bit to see any significant impact. So we're showing the areas in which you would get the most significant impact. So we've kind of narrowed it down to those, which is what we've looked at in the past.
Thanks. Robert, you had a question?
Just a kind of a comment. I think it's unfortunately a little late to be, trying to go through the whole plan document and try to do anything. However, in the past, we have, going back quite a few years now, but in the past, one of the things that we've done is developed like a subcommittee of this committee of 3 people or whatever with Lloyd or one of the people from LP Insurance and kind of go through the contract. So maybe having a subcommittee do that over the course of the following year, they can come back and maybe say, hey, well, there's nothing really we can do, or, we found a couple of things that we might consider moving on. But I just don't think there's really time between now and getting the plan stuff out and getting everything going to do that deep of a dive right now. But I do think it's a really good idea, and I would say, having a subcommittee of a couple of people to do that would be great.
Thanks, Robert. Hold on, Rachel, one second. Gwen or Joseph, did you have any? Okay. Rachel?
Okay. What I would like to add is taking a look at these documents with a number of my colleagues, because I just have one situation and one personal experience. And so I asked a bunch of people, how would any of this affect you? And the response I got over and over again was, okay, if we have to increase the premiums, we have to increase the premiums. Don't pull stuff out of the coverage. None of the colleagues that I spoke with wanted to reduce the benefits that are included in the plan.
Yep. Joseph?
Yeah, I had the same response because I checked with a bunch of custodians, and one of the things I kept hearing back from people was, the fact is many of the ESP jobs, they pay below what market rate is. People usually have these jobs for the benefits. It's not the cheap in that, usually I'm the guy saying I'm a mercenary, I want both, but yeah, that was just the same information I got back from people.
All right, thank you. Gwen?
I wasn't able to connect with as many people just because of the time of year. The people I connected with, I did get similar feedback exactly. But on the first note, I said, I'm not sure what action we'll be taking. I do feel more of an obligation to be able to connect with more of the members of my association since, before making a decision. And I don't know if that's possible or not.
Yeah, Mackenzie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're kind of at the point where we need to make a recommendation to get to the board so any changes can be implemented for the 2026 plan year by the time we open enrollment.
Yeah, correct, Jeff. So within the current systems and current processes that we have to implement any change for January 1st and then support members and making sure that they feel confident in those changes during the fall, since our department runs open enrollment itself, we need that whole month and a half time frame from the beginning, like middle of September to the end of October. And then, like Jeff mentioned, in order to make sure we're in compliance with the board, we have to have that time to submit that premium rate increase pretty much tonight. I mean,
Right.
not tonight, that's pretty dramatic, but very, very soon so we can ensure members have time to talk about this with their families.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Yeah, I haven't been looking forward to today with a 10% rate increase on the table. Some of you have probably heard me say this before, and I know Robert lived through it. It was like a decade ago now. It was a while, but it's not too far off in my memory. But this committee recommended below the rate, which required the district to shift 15 million over 3 years from the OPEB trust fund over to the health insurance fund to help pay or just get the fund some sort of net position or fund balance to work with. And then was it 2 or 3 consecutive years of 10% rate increases after that? But there was like a
16% one year that they recommended, but then we brought that down to, I think we did 6.
okay.
And then that year worked out, so.
Yeah, I guess and you know, I remember my first interaction with this committee was at the table from the budget office presenting like, here's all the scenarios if we undercut the rate and it went poorly. So I'm operating that with that in the back of my head, and not having the same financial flexibility as we've had over the last few years. So 2 years ago, we undercut the rate by 2%, when times were probably they were the best they've ever been. I hope they're not the best they will ever be. But it seemed like a one-of-a-kind year. And then last year, we undercut it by another 1.3%. Had we just funded the rates at the full amount those previous 2 years when times were better, then we'd be looking at a 6.7% increase today. I do worry that if we don't go for the 10 or darn near close to it, that next year is going to be worse. And the financial outlook for next year doesn't look any better than this year. So anyway, I guess that's a long-winded way of saying I hope we can get to the 10% either through a rate increase or a combination of that and plan design changes. But I'm also hearing a lot of support in a rate increase rather than plan design changes. Anyway, I just wanted to explain where I'm coming from on this before we take a vote or make a motion. Another thing, Kevin, tell me if I'm getting too far off base here, is like what Robert said. You know, we've talked about trying to make our members more aware that they're a consumer of their health insurance and health costs. I think now would be a really good time to ramp that up, and maybe even have some sort of subcommittee or something that similar that Robert referred to try to find areas to mitigate costs in the future so that we're not sitting here a year from now with a 10% rate increase again. I don't know if that's something we can include in the motion or to ask the benefits department to come back to a future agenda with options for review.
I don't think that's within this agendized item to create a subcommittee for that. It certainly could be brought up at a future meeting and agendized.
Okay.
That's easy to do.
Okay, so we will keep that out of a motion today. All right, thanks, Kevin. Any further discussion on this item? Rachel?
We've said a lot of things and are rather deliberately not saying numbers. So I know I'm sitting here in my head thinking, yes, we need to get close to that 10% as much as possible. And knowing that our reductions, even though kind of limited, while I was sitting here at the table in the last 2 years, have kind of gotten us here. My brain says 9.5 to 10. I don't know what everybody else is thinking.
Robert?
I think that, you know, typically we haven't been that far off. Last year we were really far off, and I think that part of that was our limitation, or at least I felt limited by the motions that we could make. But I think that, you know, 9 and 8, you know, when you look at this, it's 9.63, the 10% increase. And, you know, I'm somewhere probably around 7 or 8. I think we do need to, I definitely understand the need for an increase. But even if we went with, say, a 7%, and then we bled down, you know, instead of, you know, what did we do, 10 million, you said, already this year? We bled down 2 or 3 million. I wouldn't be so concerned. But bleeding down another 10 million would be catastrophic to the, and when I came onto this committee, when we looked at past years, it was only a few years back when we were in the red. This actual insurance fund was in the red and funded by the district for a lot of years before it finally became viable. And the one thing I said when I came onto this committee is I never want to see that while I'm on the committee. I don't want to go into the red. I don't even want to come close to the red. So, you know, I keep thinking, you know, 7-8%. I think that, you know, I think that there's a lot of unknowns in the world right now, especially with inflation. So 10% might not even be enough, let's be honest. But, you know, we've been told that prescriptions drugs are going down 1,500%. So if they go down 1,500%, maybe we'll save another, sorry.
Kaylee?
So, Mackenzie, I know these might not be completely connected, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that we are in a plan right now with Anthem for this year and next year currently, is that correct? Okay, so essentially, I know that the costs will adjust, but we're essentially have our contract allowed amounts and everything until the end of next year-ish, minus the, like, out of network people.
So for our Anthem, with our TPA, so our admin costs that we pay for them to carry out our plan, that is locked into the end of 2026.
Okay, so my curiosity is, for me, 10% would be like insanely catastrophic. Like that's more I have to do on my side gigs. So that's my situation. But how many other people might be that? So my thinking is, yes, I do know we need to get to that point, but do we have to do it all next year? Because it's the last year of our negotiation, like within that contract? Or is it something that we can do over 2 years? Or do we not know because of the fact that we're going in to have to renegotiate next year for our contract allows? Or
Nate, jump in, but I feel like this is a helpful distinction that we're asking for a 10% premium rate increase to supplement our revenue, which is one bucket, right?
Yeah.
And then we're spending significant amounts in our claims. That's why we're going into our reserves and spending 10.5 million, right? And so we're talking about technically two different things because you're tapping into the fixed costs. And like Robert kind of brought up, he was talking about the stewardship that our benefits department has to carry out to ensure that our vendors and carriers are carrying out the plan as intended, right? And we're working with LP to ensure that we get the best cost for what we're getting, right? So I think we're kind of blurring some of those lines.
yeah,
Does that kind of help?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I needed clarification on. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it's a good point, just to add to that, the clarification between the fixed admin fee and the contracts that you get for that admin fee. Right, those, correct, and the fixed cost piece is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the overall spend. That simply allows you access, among many things, but it allows you access to the Anthem contracts that they have negotiated, which I think you had mentioned earlier are constantly coming up and being renegotiated, and Anthem does that obviously on your behalf. So the 2 years from now, 1 year from now, how long the contract is with Anthem really wouldn't have an impact.
So essentially, we're at the point where we have to do something because of next year, and then we're at square one again. So we have to figure out something. I'm just not comfortable with 10%. I think 6 to 8%, but anything, it just, to me, 10% is a lot, and I know it's necessary, but I'm just thinking about how difficult that might be for some people. But I do agree that if I have to increase that, I'd rather do that than lose benefits. So that's where I stand on that.
Robert?
And just as we're sort of blurring the lines there too, every time we raise rates, I get questions from my members at my school and from across the district. And one of those questions is, well, why don't we just get in a new insurance company? Well, and I try to explain to them we're self-insured and all this. But, you know, when we did switch from the Renown and Hometown Health to this, people, I think that really made them think, oh, now we're with an insurance company. And they don't know that that isn't what it is. And so I think that we need to make sure we do a good job of educating people, and you touched on that, Jeff, as well, educating people that we are self-funded. So what we're talking about here is to cover our claims every month. no matter what those contracts are, with whatever providers they are, through whatever, to cover those claims, we need to increase our revenue. And the only way to increase revenue really viably is to do a rate increase, unless you cut benefits, and benefits don't really make a big difference in the grand scheme of the process. So, but we need to educate our members so that they understand that this is about utilization. It has nothing to do with whether we're with Hometown Health, we go with St. Mary's, we go with, whoever.
Thanks, Robert. Rachel, sorry, did you have a comment before we call on Kaylee? Okay, well, I guess my memory is going then. Gwen?
Yeah, I wanted to agree with you. I think that would be incredibly helpful. And then, yeah, the number 10% hit really hard. I don't have a good mathematical reason that I would say 7 versus 8. I mean, except 7 sounds better than 8 when it's an increase. But somehow that 2-digit 10% just really hit hard.
Robert?
Since you're probably better at math than me, Jeff, if you look at the percent that they're recommending, 10%, right? And you drop down 2% to 8%, what impact would that have on the fund? I mean, monthly income because I don't even have that page in front of me, our monthly income one.
Really put me on the spot here.
Sorry.
No, that's it. Just
There's a difference between math and,
yeah.
arithmetic.
So, really quick math here.
Yeah.
I'm going back to December so I can just easier to work with. But it was still around a $10 million drawdown on fund balance at that time. So the trend was fairly the same. So, if let's say 43 million was the revenues through the halfway point, just multiply that by 2. Again, just trying to keep this simple. That's 86 million. So that would be the annual revenue. 53 million halfway through the year. Oh, sorry. So we did 10%, that'd be another 8.6 million. And if we did 8%,
6.4.
thank you so much. Yeah, I was working on it. Yeah. Rachel?
Okay, so at our 7,000, approximately 500 members that are paying or getting paid for, just at the initial employee plus spouse rate, which is a change of $50 a month. Okay, if everybody were paying, that's, hold on, I need to do this with dependent units, don't I? Okay, I guess what I'm coming to is if it were everybody, it's a difference of 500,000 into the plan between 10 and 8. And everybody doesn't pay, so it's less of a difference.
Okay. Because I'm coming with 1.8 million between a 10 and 8.
Okay, at $600 for the year?
So what I did was I took our revenues halfway through the year and doubled it
Okay.
and said, that's 86 million times 10% is another 8.6 million. We'd have to drop off 1
8%
point.
would be 6.4 million instead.
Yeah.
So about 2 million less.
Yeah.
Okay, so difference being I didn't account for the percentage that district would pay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that would, again, that's my very rough, quick math, would be the difference in the fund. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Gwen?
I'm really sorry. What number did you come up with for the difference?
The difference, 1.8 million.
Thanks.
For the total year.
Yes. Okay, so I think we've had a lot of discussion on this. I'm not sure if anyone's ready to make a motion. But if you are, I'm happy to entertain a motion. Or if we want to just continue to discuss it, we can continue to discuss it. Robert?
I'll make a motion that we increase the premium by 7.5%
Okay.
for the fiscal year 26, is it 26 year, right?
For the
Plan year.
2026 calendar year plan here.
Okay,
Yeah.
for the 2026 calendar year plan.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. So Joseph with the second. All right, any further discussion on this item? No? Okay. Then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed, say nay. Nay.
I think I'm at an A.
That was a nay?
That's an A.
Okay. All right. Well, the motion on this item carries 4-2 then, for a 7.5% rate recommendation. Thank you everyone for the thorough discussion on this. I know it's never an easy topic, but that's the reality we live in and why we choose to serve on this committee. Nate, thank you for your time on this item. And Mackenzie, thanks for fielding questions as well.
Thank you for having us. You guys always do a very good job with your discussions, so for what it's worth. You're talking about all the right things.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, let's get into some happier and more exciting items. Item 2.03, presentation and discussion of Washoe County School District Group Insurance Wellness Program report to cover current events and programs. This item is for presentation and discussion only. Mackenzie, I believe you're going to present this item.
Yeah, I'm happy to take an agenda item that's happy and exciting. So last time we met in May, I mentioned that we were having the MAMA van come on site on July 23rd. They were here last week. They offered 22 appointments each time that they are on site, and we had 21 out of 22 completed, which is a very high completion rate. That was very exciting to see. We were outside speaking with the Nevada Cancer Coalition. They were on site to provide educational support for people who didn't have an actual appointment but wanted to learn more about lots of different types of cancer. And she shared with us that the tech on site providing the actual mammogram was the best in town. Any time that a woman is nervous to go and get her mammogram, they are sent to her. And so not only was the service on site, but it was one of the best we can get in town. So that was overall a very exciting event.
I have a comment on
go
this
ahead.
item. So I see the last bullet point about working to schedule another date in the future for this. I know I brought that up at the last meeting, so I appreciate you and the team working on that to get another appointment scheduled.
I think it's going to be in October. So,
All right.
yep. Go ahead. Yeah.
At the last meeting, we discussed maybe having it at different sites around the district when you do schedule future ones. Is that something that you guys have looked into or considered?
Yes, so that's something we definitely want to consider. For the one that's going to happen in October, it was actually a cancellation on the Mama Van, and they asked us, would you guys like us to come here again? And so it just kind of worked out. Close your ears, Jeff. But in the future, when we have the opportunity to plan and book the Mama Van way in advance, we'll look at other locations. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's great.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Just give me a
no,
hard time.
no, this is fantastic. So can we get at the top of their cancellation list
Yeah.
for other dates? Yeah. Yeah. I really do appreciate you looking into that. So thanks for doing that.
I won't take the credit. It's Emily right there in the back, our wellness partner.
Thank you, Emily.
All right, next we have our Be Well Fest, which is our wellness fair rebranded into a benefits and wellness event. This is going to be at Hug on September 20th, which, to clarify, is a Saturday. We had to review that this morning. This event, we will have vendors who are there with tables, with prizes, and all of the fun swag to talk about what they have to offer our members in the community. We're going to have some speakers, kind of conference style like. We're going to have activities. For example, we're going to have a jazzercise class, a yoga class, ways that people can try out different forms of wellness that they might not have been wanting to pay for before. And then we'll have raffles and prizes for just attending the event in of itself. We also are going to offer an early open enrollment support. So if you want to come on that Saturday, you can complete open enrollment before it is open to the rest of the district. We do want to offer to the committee, if you're interested in volunteering and helping us out to run the event, we won't ask for your help all 6 hours because we also want you to participate as a member. But if you're interested in helping out, feel free to email Emily. Really stumbled over that. And she'll get you connected with what time works best for you. Any questions on this one? No? Okay. All right, and last but not least, it is the time of the year where we start to advertise our health premium discount for 2026. So this year, to earn the health premium discount, members and their eligible spouses will need to complete the health assessment and a PCP visit. Little asterisk next to the PCP visit. If you are unable to have that appointment done in 2025, you can go to one of the wellness screening events that we have every fall as a substitute this year. Go ahead, Gwen.
A member asked me, I had said that I was told if you do your wellness visit with the doctor, the district would know, and it would be tracked, and they were saying they were curious just to ensure that is happening. And how does that happen?
How does that happen? It's not Big Brother, I promise you. So we are not going to penalize members for any health insurance coding disaster that they could be nervous about. I'll use myself as an example. My PCP visit is scheduled for August 21st. I'm going to earn the discount. But if I go, I'm scheduled for an annual wellness visit. When I go, if they end up diagnosing something, it could get coded as a different type of appointment, right? And so we've worked really closely with Anthem to ensure that the reporting we get back from them removes any HIPAA information of what coding they have. So we're just going to get a very generic list that says Mackenzie Howren went to her PCP in 2025. Yep. So Anthem's going to pull it all from the claims.
Thank you.
Yeah. Robert?
And I just remind people as well, because of the coding, to, excuse me, let their doctor know when you're making the appointment and when you're there, because it's a wellness benefit. So it doesn't usually have a copay, right? Because of Obamacare or whatever, Affordable Care Act, whatever it is.
There you go.
So there's no copay, but what people don't realize is they go in there and it gets coded differently because of those conversations and stuff. They pay a copay, and then it doesn't get coded as a wellness check. So just they need to be careful of that.
Yeah, Robert, you bring up a really good point. I mean, the whole committee today has brought up really great systemic issues that a lot of our members face when accessing healthcare in our country, right? And so I've been dying for an opportunity to plug it in without going outside of our agenda items. But Stephanie's sitting back there, and she's our benefits engagement partner. And she is it's a brand new role, effective in March, but she is tasked with educating members, supporting them, and connecting with other resources in the community, and really helping to build their self-efficacy in navigating healthcare, right? When we go to the grocery store and there's a little coupon that says 2 for 1, and then when at the register, if I don't get that 2 for 1, I mention it, right? But when I go to see my doctor and they give me my bill, I'm like, this has to be correct, right? We don't feel confident to say anything to the front office staff or our doctor, and so that's something that we can.
Transparent as the grocery store is.
That's another component, right? But definitely something that we can work on when we talk about educating our members. Yeah. All right, so the health assessment will be open as normal from September 1st to December 1st. Slight change in that this year is that's going to be done on the Sydney Health app. We are going to drive everyone to our Sydney Health app to ensure that they have access to both wellness and benefits components, and really a one-stop shop place, right? We think that this will help drive our members' understanding in that their wellness drives their benefits, right? You can be a smart consumer and utilize your benefits while trying to improve your wellness. We are going to ask for your help and support in rebranding, because on the Sydney Health app, the health assessment's called the My Health Check-In. Same questions, just different name. Again, PCP visits can occur at any time during 2025, and our schedule for wellness screenings will be out soon. Any other questions on the health premium discount for 2026?
I have a question. So, does that mean we're no longer working with
Personify?
Virgin?
Yes.
What is it called now?
Personify Health?
Personify?
Yep.
So we're done with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that'll end at the end of August. So if you have earned points on there and earned cash, please go on and spend it. I know.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kaylee?
So now that we have this amazingly beautiful person back here to explain to people how and like engage everybody in this, thank you so much for that. I would just recommend that when you guys do the thing in September, obviously you probably already are doing this, but it just makes me feel better to say. I think the self-funded PPO component is super important, like Jeff mentioned, and then ensuring that like we have members that I know that don't sign up for our insurance because they don't like the health check-in and they think it's just like people monitoring them, and just kind of like giving this information as available as possible at things like that event. I think it would be super beneficial. So thank you for being amazing.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Mackenzie on this item? No? Okay. There it is. All right, that closes item 2.03 and brings us to item 2.04, approval of the minutes of May 28th, 2025 meeting of the Group Insurance Committee for possible action. I did have a correction to this. Item 2.05 shows, item 2.05 of the minutes shows that we were approving the minutes of the January 2022 meeting, but February. Okay. Do you want to keep that? Sure. Okay. Thanks. All right. Were there any other comments or concerns for the minutes? No. Do we have any public comment on the minutes? No? Okay. I don't know. Okay, then with that, I'll entertain a motion on the agenda with the edit that I had.
This is
Rachel?
Rachel Drake. I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Robert with a second. Okay. Any further discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right. Motion carries unanimously. That closes out section 2 of our agenda and brings us to section 3, our closing items. Item 3.01 being public comment. I think I have an assumption here, but I'll still check. Do we have any public comment? No? Okay. Thank you. Our next meeting is scheduled for August 27th, 2025, I believe here at 4 p.m. And that brings us to the last item on our agenda, which is adjourning the meeting at 4:54 p.m.